Hey up everybody, my name's Joshua Morrison, director of Johnny Moz's Lessons in Confidence. Today I want to talk a little bit about creativity, particularly the idea that you put an awful lot of effort into something, your heart and soul into your big magnum opus, and then you've spent maybe months or years working on this thing, putting everything that you have into it, time, money, resources, your passion, your drive, your soul, right? You put all of that into this big project, right? And then you release it and nothing really happens, right? And then it kind of comes and goes, right? I've done it. I've made films and things like that where I've put so much effort into it, so much time, so much money, so much of my energy into it, right? And I've driven myself nearly insane making it. And then it just kind of comes out. No one cares about it, no one thinks about it, and then it just gets thrown into the void, right? And then, you move on to the next one, right? And at a certain point, I had an awful lot on my mind, and I just sort of thought, well, why am I doing this to myself? Why am I putting all this effort, all this energy into these big, high-quality projects, right? Just for people to ignore them, right? And so I started, instead of making very few high-quality things, I instead thought about, should I just make lots of low-quality stuff and just try and get things done quickly, small-scale projects, right? And so I started doing that, and I found that the results were an awful lot better. People reciprocated the kind of thing that I was putting out into the world a lot easier. People were just more interested in the things that I had to say and the things that I had to get across with my videos or my music or whatever, right? Because I wasn't investing months and months and months or years and years and years into these things anymore. Now it's just a case of maybe a day or 2 days or a week here, whatever, right? Rather than trying to make these huge lofty projects, make lots of small things, right? It's the idea of quality and quantity, I suppose, right? I mean, they did this experiment where they got two groups together, Group A and Group B, and Group A had to make as many papier-mâché eggs in an hour as they could, and Group B had to make one papier-mâché egg in an hour, and they had to make it as good as possible, right? And these eggs were judged according to how smooth was the papier-mâché, was it the right size, was it the right shape, that kind of thing, right? And so they made the eggs, and they took the eggs back, and Group A, that had to make as many eggs as possible, they'd made something like 30 eggs in that time. And they made more eggs than the Group B did, that made one egg. They made more eggs that were of higher quality than that egg that the quality group had made. So by just trying to make as many things as possible and not worrying so much about the quality, you will inevitably end up with more better products compared to if you invest all your time into trying to make the one perfect thing. Because if you invest all that time, and if you invest it wrong, then you have wasted so much time in your life. I've made films and albums and stuff where, looking back, the idea was kind of just terrible from the beginning, but I kept trying to push and push and push to try and make the best possible thing out of this idea that I could. And, I certainly did that, but I would have been better off just making a load of garbage at the end of the day, because if I'd done that, then I would have made probably 8 or 9 times as high quality material out of it, right? So why is it that most of your favorite YouTubers, for instance, they spend like 20 days on I don't know, some big project, and then they might spend 1 day on another project, and that one is the one that gets all the views? Why is it that the audience seems to gravitate towards the stuff that is put together quickly? I think there's some kind of living in the moment aspect to it. There's a high octane energy that comes from making something very, very quickly, from the spark of creativity compared to the slow burn of a casual 20-mile-an-hour drive to your destination. There's something about getting in your car, turning the gear up to 6 before you even start the engine, and lurching out, going onto the motorway at full pelt, driving like you're on the Autobahn, and then getting arrested. Right? That, I think, is a more interesting story than someone pootling along in their Nissan Micra to get to their nan's house, right? I think we could all agree that the other story was more interesting, right? And that one involved things happening a lot faster, and things going at a much quicker pace, and for people to, just try things that are outside of their comfort zone. I'm not saying go speed or commit crime or whatever. I'm saying there's something to be said about not putting a load of effort into something. There's something to be said about doing things quickly rather than trying to make your magnum opus every single time. Stop trying to make a magnum opus, it'll just come naturally, right? Like these videos, for instance, there's a lot of these videos that I've put zero effort into, right, apart from going out and filming it, and it's been like a 27-minute video, right? My first short film was 27 minutes long, and I spent about 9 months working on it. I would easily rather watch one of these talking style videos of just me going out and talking for 27 minutes, right? That I've done probably about 20 or 30 of that are about that long, right? I've probably done about 20 or 30 that are as long as that short film. And they're all better, right? So I think it's clear, that, to me at least, that it's more worth my time to put something together quickly rather than to try and make the perfect fucking thing. Because at the end of the day, you know, you've got a dartboard in front of you, right? You might as well throw as many darts at it as possible, right? And the more darts you throw at it, the higher the score you get. There's no like darts rules, right? Obviously there are rules to darts, the game itself, but as far as us just throwing darts to the dartboard, as far as this metaphor is concerned, you don't need to throw 3 darts, you can throw 300 darts for all I care. Fill that dartboard up with darts, and plenty of them will be on the triple 60, plenty of them will be on the bullseye, plenty of them will be on the triple 19 and 18 and 17, or the double 20 or whatever, right? There's loads out there, and sure, you'll fill out the 1 and the, you know, probably outside the board as well, but at the same time, because you've thrown so many darts, you've gotten such a high score compared to that, just endlessly doing that thing with your finger where you're about to throw, but you never do, right? And that's kind of the message that I wanted to get across, is just throw the fucking darts already. It doesn't matter, right? Because the worst that happens, you make a load of garbage, right? And oh no, it's not like there isn't, you know, oceans of fucking garbage out there anyway that you're just adding to, right? But the more that you do it, the more likely you are to make something of good quality. The more that you make, the more that you learn from the things that you make. And the more that you learn from the things that you make, the more capable you are of making better things. And the more capable you are of making better things, the higher your chances are of making a good thing. And the more good things you make, the cycle repeats again and again and again and again. And I think that's very important to take away, is just to keep doing stuff, keep making stuff and have fun with it. And if you're not having fun, then there's nothing wrong with stopping. So yeah, that's going to be it from me. Thank you very much for watching this video. Hope you managed to get something out of it. The reason I'm talking about it in this kind of way is that this is kind of a filler episode. This is just me saying stuff I feel like I've already said before, right? But instead of me sitting down, spending this time planning the greatest fucking video of my life, I thought, well, let's just make a little thing. Let's just tell the same points again in a new context, in a new way, in a new form. And something fun can happen from that, and we can get a bit of enjoyment out of that. Because we're allowed to do that. We are allowed to just repeat the same thing, right? We are allowed to try the same idea in a different context. It's okay to do that, right? Because art is free to do. Creativity is free as far as your mind is concerned. You can do whatever you want, right? So leave your comments below about what you make of that. Do you agree with the general idea, or do you feel like there's something to be said about, you know, the auteur that comes out with, you know, their grand vision that they've spent ages working on and it's super magnificent and brilliant or whatever, right? Do you think that that's maybe what more people should be aspiring towards, rather than the message that I'm giving to people, which is sort of, don't worry so much, just have fun making stuff, and the more stuff you make, the better you'll get at making it naturally, rather than having to invest loads and loads of time in trying to make some grand magnum opus, right? And yeah, leave your thoughts on that, and yeah, that's going to be it from me. Thank you very much for watching, everybody. Take care, and bye-bye. Also, I'm just leaving my phone on the side so that I can see how long the video is, right? Which I don't do when it's the video that I'm really confident in. But if it's a video that I think isn't going to be one of my best ones, I kind of do that. So you've just watched this whole thing, right? And it turns out it's not even one of my good ones. So there's plenty of ones out there that are my good ones. So go on the channel, I guess. This isn't a call to action. It's more just to prove the point that there are better videos than this on this channel, that I've spent the exact same amount of time making, right? Because all these videos take the same amount of time to make. How long's this? 11 minutes 37, call it 10 minutes 30, right? And then I go back, and then I have to walk here, and you know, do the stuff that I did in the day. So let's call that 1 day, and then 1 day of editing. So that's 2 days. Realistically, you could boil that down to about 3 hours per video. And of that, a lot of that is waiting for the export and the upload. So you can really boil it down to about, I don't know, 1 hour per video. Pretty decent, I'd say.